I agree 100%.
Hmm.
But before we get there, I want to introduce our leadoff guest tonight, who is reaching out to us from Colorado and is part of a special investigation team that, I mean, they're ghost hunters, but what's very interesting about them is that they are a all-female team. They're called
Hmm.
the Spirit Realm Investigative Project. And I want to welcome LeeAnna Jonas to the show with us tonight. LeeAnna, are you on?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine, and thanks for coming on. And you guys are also part of the True Ghost Stories TV, which is very cool. And I can't wait to see what you guys are going to deliver. But why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the gals that you run with and chase down ghosts with, and a little bit about how you got started. Give us a little breakdown of the origin of your team.
Sure. I'm the lead investigator, founder, and owner of Spirit Realm Investigative Project, also known as SRIP. And we are a three-girl team. We specialize in the mining towns of Colorado, especially in Central City, Colorado. That's one of our main hubs. We are really into the historical sites. We're into the scientific and the metaphysical side of it. So we also have a angel reader on our team and a psychic slash cleanser if we run into anything bad. So we're pretty much a well-rounded team. We have a Christian, a Jewish girl, and a Wicca high priestess. So we believe in a lot of different things, but our main objective is to help clients and to help spirits. And where we do a lot of our investigations, we run into a lot of children because back in the day, they died of scarlet fever. So there's a lot of children that died young, a
Yeah.
lot of minors, the minor accidents, and prostitutes. And so you get a lot of crazy characters. And what's really interesting about what we do is we frequent, there's about 3 or 4 towns that we go to, but mainly in Central City. We have made a relationship with not only the living, but the dead. And we have spirits that follow us. And we use the Ovilus a lot, and they love it. And they come forward every time. And believe it or not, we have a lot of the same spirits show up. It's like they know we're in town, so they show up. And I don't know if you know anything about the Ovilus, but it'll show the power on the digital screen of if that person's name comes through, and then there's a power attached to it, how much energy they're putting out. And
Okay.
I always know it's the same spirits because it has the same power number. So that's how we start basing our relationships, and we piece together stories because we go there so often.
Right. Hi, LeeAnna. This is Adam.
Hi, Adam.
How are you?
Good.
I'm very curious about something with your group, and
Sure.
that is you made it a point to bring up the 3 unique religions, and I guess therefore spiritual outlooks. And I did watch one of your videos there, and I thought I saw some really neat evidence, and I was curious how the I guess your individual ideologies with religion, how that it plays into your viewpoints. Do you notice a difference? I mean, or is there something? Do you find that religion comes up in conversation? Are the views on what's going on vastly different between the 3 of you? I'm just curious because you did bring up the religion aspect. If it
Right.
plays in any way in what's going on, being that it is just a 3-person team.
Not really. We all respect each other. We respect how our beliefs. Our main belief, though, is in the afterlife. We are all skeptics, but we've seen enough evidence to believe in what's out there. One of the girls, and I always ask her when we do cleansings, or we always do a protection ritual before we start because we try to protect ourselves. And I'll bring in Jesus. And, of course, Lolly is Jewish, but there's no disrespect in that. She understands that I believe in Jesus and she doesn't, and she's okay with that because our main objective is to help the spirits, and we all believe that they were people once just like us. We do run into negative entities once in a while, and we all call upon God and Archangel Michael. We all believe in the angels. Even our Wicca, most people think, there's a difference between pagan and Wicca a little bit, but the Wicca are all about the wilderness and Mother Earth, and it is really a good vibe. So even though she might tend to believe in different types of gods, we all believe in a higher power. So it really never came into play with any problems for us.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and LeeAnna, I find that very cool because I like that you have the different perspectives that all agree that there is an afterlife, and because one of the biggest questions of the afterlife is basically why. Why are they lingering? Why can we communicate? Why are they here with us? Or why haven't they moved on to what we believe is the final resting place? For eternity. So it's very interesting that you do have so many different a mixture of faiths on the team, and that you guys work hand in hand and basically agree that there is an afterlife. Now, what can you tell us about when you first started to believe? Was there something that you saw or something that happened? And I recall when I was reading your bio, you mentioned seeing something at a young age. And was this in a coal mine where you saw it? And tell me that story. And because I mean, obviously, for somebody that dedicates so much time to researching and trying to find proof and evidence of the afterlife, there must have been a turning point in your own life that convinced you this was worth pursuing.
Yes, when I was in fifth grade, I was 10 years old. And, as all young children do, they play with the Ouija boards, they play with, they do seances. And at a young age, it seems that we're all very intrigued by that realm. And I was back then. And so were two of my friends, and we used to hang out in her basement all the time. And we decided to do a seance and call upon a gal that we saw on the news that was a babysitter that had killed the baby she was watching and then killed herself. So we were calling upon this person, and at the same time, we all looked up and we saw an apparition of a woman in a rocking chair with baby in her arms with a knife in her other hand. I mean, we all looked up and saw the same thing and ran like hell upstairs, crying. And her mother was just like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with you guys?" And we couldn't even talk. Now, it's really funny is one of the gals I ran into, we're friends again after 30 years, and I asked her, I said, "Do you remember that day?" And she goes, "I know something bad happened, and I know I was upset, but I can't remember it. I don't know if she blocked it out, but I never did. I can still picture it in my mind."
How many of you were there, LeeAnna?
Three of us.
And how about the third witness? Have you ever spoken to her again?
No,
How old were you at the time?
I was 10.
Hmm.
And the other gal, the other two still live in Michigan, so they still talk. And I've never really asked her if she's asked the third girl if she remembers anything.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, it would be interesting. And just ever since then, I've been sensitive to things. I've had a craving to learn about the unknown and the other side. And when you experience something that young, at a young age, it's like a stamp inside of you.
That's right.
You can't get rid of it.
It's life changing.
It is. It's life changing. And
Yeah.
I've grown up with a family that doesn't believe in any of this. They think I'm crazy. But you experience what you experience, and I truly believe that children are open and they haven't been tarnished, that they do see things that we don't as adults, and same with animals. And it drove me, and I've always been into the paranormal, but believe it or not, since all the shows came out and I learned about the gadgets, and I'm like, wow, I could back this up if I could get something. That really drove me. I started my team in 2010, and we were on the Paranormal Challenge within 6 months. That's how hard I worked.
I
Nice.
was going to ask you that. You guys have had, some relatively nice success in terms of getting your name out there. The Paranormal Challenge, USS Hornet episode, the Bio Channel's My Ghost Story, now getting involved with True Ghost Stories. What you mentioned your hard work. Obviously we have a lot of investigators listening. Can you give some sort of insights to maybe how you overcame some of the challenges and were able to accelerate the growth of your group so fast?
I just think it's hard work of experiencing things, investigating, teaching your team what you know and learn together.
Hmm.
As you know, in the paranormal community, it can be pretty cutthroat, and you can run into some crazy people that might not agree with how you do things. Um, I'm a leader, and I might be hard on people sometimes, but I do it so that they learn and that we are cohesive and we do a good job. You hear about a
Right.
lot of these teams that go out and get drunk, and I'm just like, are you kidding
Mm.
me? So, and it's just been hard work, keeping my eyes and ears open for opportunities, and just putting out good evidence. I mean, we don't put anything out that we don't stand by, and we try
Right.
to debunk everything that we can debunk. And we've just been lucky because, believe it or not, mining towns are excellent for spirits. I mean,
Okay.
it is. I
Or should there's been a lot of tragic accidents in mining towns where there'd be a lot
Mm.
of restless spirits for sure.
tons and a lot of murders back then. People got away with murder,
Yeah.
Mm.
and believe it or not, it was funny because when we were on the USS Hornet, my one teammate says, "Boy, we get more stuff at home than we do here." you know.
Wow.
But I think that has to do with the respect of the spirits. I do believe that they communicate within each other, and I do believe there's some that can travel throughout that town. And I do believe that they talk and they know who we are. So
Right.
once you gain that trust, you can start building on a relationship. So we've just had a really fantastic experience with what we're going through with this town and piecing things together. And it's like a new spirit would show up and they want to tell us our story. Wait a minute, it's my turn. And sometimes I
Right.
get so many of them talking at once, they just overpower the ovulus and it just shorts right out.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so LeeAnna, do you have a lot of audio evidence of these encounters?
Yes.
You do.
Yes. Yes.
So okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I on our YouTube channel,
Hmm.
it's SRIP, SRIP3. You can
Yep.
search that. I've got EVPs. They're more towards the end of all of our stuff, but we've got a lot of audio and video, and it's just we at least get one piece of evidence. We've never really been anywhere where we haven't gotten anything, so we've been so lucky because that can happen. You
Yeah.
have good nights and bad nights, but like I said, they know. It's like when I pull into town, they know we're there and they show up.
Hmm.
So it's really cool.
Well, let me ask you this. While we're talking about the team, tell us about the other members of the team. Give us their names. Let us know what they do. I know that you mentioned that you have two other
Right.
partners on the team. Tell us know what these ladies do. How did you meet these ladies? And tell and also please let me know what you're planning on bringing to the True Ghost Stories TV as far as evidence wise goes, because this is what we're really looking forward to when this
And,
comes on.
and to add more pressure on for you with this, Leanna, I'm curious if you could give us because you mentioned a lot of evidence. You have some really cool video stuff. If you can impart to our listeners tonight some sort of a story of some real unique activity that you encountered.
Sure. Well, first off, we have Lolly Hughes, which is our historian, and she's a school teacher by
Hmm.
trade. She went to Notre Dame. She's very well educated. And I came across Lolly through another investigator friend of mine in Iowa. The investigator's daughter, Lolly was her daughter's teacher,
Hmm.
and she's the one that recommended me to her. So Lolly, in the actual episode you're going to see on True Ghost Stories is the first time Lolly was with us, and I can't go into everything that happened because I don't want to spoil it.
Hmm.
But she learned a hard lesson that night.
Hmm.
Never let your guard down. So the evidence that we have is direct. How do I want to say this? She directly was affected by a negative
Physical
spirit.
evidence.
Yes.
Physical evidence.
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like the kind of evidence I like to see.
Do you have any of that online, photos or?
No, no, we're not allowed to do that. We want to keep it hush hush. So no, I don't have any of that on there. That was something I was keeping in my back pocket for a special project, and this is the project that came along for it. So,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Excellent.
And yeah, and so sometimes we have our other teammate can't always make it, so sometimes we'll have someone fill in. Recently, we just had Mondo Guerrera, who is a designer. He was on Project Runway. He lives here in Denver,
Okay.
Okay.
and he's into the paranormal. And his partner was doing our camera work for the first time. He did a really good job following us around. And we were at the museum in Gilpin County. It's so interesting there because every time we go there, we run into something else because of the artifacts. I truly believe that items can have attachments.
Mm.
And
Okay.
the gentleman that works there is always calling me going, okay, so this happened and now I got this going on and you need to come in here and talk to these guys.
Wow.
And the night that we went there, this is the story. It was Mondo and Iggy's first time, and we had told them, that is pretty hot spot. Well, we ended up upstairs and we ended up in the archive room. And I always ask this of the spirits, does anyone need any help? Just say help, and they'll come across either on the recorder or we have a REM pod they can light up, or the millimeter. I mean, we got plenty of stuff they can communicate with.
Right.
And the Ovulus. And they did say help. And I said, are you attached to anything? And they said pendant.
Mm.
And we're like, okay, so it's a pendant. And it said, find, help, find. It kept on saying that on the Ovulus. So I said, you know what, guys? Screw it. Turn the lights on. Let's look. So we went up into the archives and we're looking through the boxes trying to find a pendant. We found a woman's face on a pendant on the outside of one of the boxes because he would put all the archive pictures. So he knew, because he has to have them all, the records for him and everything. And so we're pulling down this one box and we're searching for this pendant, and it kept on saying, fine. And I'm like, it's not here, I don't know what to do. Well, there was a number attached to it.
Mm.
And Mondo figured out that it was down in the drawers below, number 29. So we ended up going down in the drawers, and there it was. And I pulled it out, and I said to my teammate Lolly and I were trying to call upon Archangel Michael and help the spirit cross. So we did that. We did our little ritual. And then I said, I don't know if I helped you, honey. I don't know. And the Ovulus said, girl is fine.
Mm.
And that was validation.
What is
Wow.
this? Tell me more about the Ovulus.
Yeah,
Oh,
really.
I love it.
What is this thing? Sounds like some out of Star Trek.
It's made by an actual engineer. His name is Bill Chappell. He lives here in Loveland, Colorado. He builds a lot of kinetics. That's another guy that's Gary Galka that does the SB7. But he does a bunch of different. If you ever watch Ghost Adventures, they always get the latest and greatest because they're friends with Bill, so he lets them try out all his new stuff.
Okay.
He did I believe he did the REM pod. I'm not sure. That might have been Gary. They're back and forth. They both make a lot of the same stuff. But anyway, so what the Ovulus does is a data bank of 2,500 words, and he has some. I don't know the details exactly how it's built, but it has a phonetics and a dictionary. We like to use a dictionary because with the phonetics you get a when they're trying
Right.
to talk, and it doesn't
Right.
come across very nice. So what it does is it matches up what the spirit's trying to say as best as possible. If it doesn't have the word, it'll try to match up the best thing that might mean the same thing. So you have to do a lot of investigative work as far as trying to figure out what pieced the story together. And I'm
Right.
really good at that. And then sometimes words will come up that aren't in the database. We've gotten a lot of those
Yeah.
because
How does that happen if it's not in the database?
it comes up as a word. The spirit gets it through. I don't know how it happens. He doesn't either, because we have a list of what words that he has programmed in there, and there's words that come up. In fact, the word Sally's came up the other day. We were in the museum, and Lolly had to go to the bathroom real bad, and we had the REM pod, and we pieced that we needed to go back down to where they told us to go, and we got there. And I said to the spirits, I said, can we please go to the bathroom real quick? And the REM pod went, like, It pegged to blue. So we're like, and then the word said Sally's. And I don't know if you know that, but it means back in the day, like, oh, you wimps, you know? I'm like,
Okay, yeah.
I've never seen that word before. So I don't know how it happens. I couldn't tell you. All I know is it does.
Is it
And
only, really quick question, is it only in English? In other words, do you ever have spirits that speak in foreign languages?
I do.
And will the Ovilus pick that up as well, or no? It's only,
Yes.
it will.
It'll say the word, but I don't know what it means because I don't speak any other languages. So
Okay, so let's break it down to something like simple. Have you ever encountered a spirit that maybe spoke Spanish, and the Ovilus would reflect that it said "sí" or "no" or something that you knew that you don't really have to speak Spanish to know that the Ovilus was correctly translating a word, or
if they say C, it'll come up SEE. It won't come up CE.
or SI. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean,
know,
I've had words that are even spelt funky, and I'm like, what God's name is this word? And here's Lolly. She's from Notre Dame, and she's like, I don't have a clue what that word is.
Gotcha.
LeeAnna, this Ovilus has a screen on it. You're actually seeing the word at the same time spelled out somewhere.
Yeah, the one that I have
Okay.
is an older version, and it has an attachment that has a screen, and it shows the word, and then underneath it has the power, and that tells you how much energy is coming through. So sometimes I might get a word and it says 20. It's real. That means that spirit has low energy. And then I'll get one that'll say 1100, 1800,
Right.
And then what happens when they zap it? It goes to 6555555, and it zaps, and then it resets itself. And Bill said it shouldn't do that. It doesn't do that. I'm like, well, I got it on camera many times. It's like when they're all trying to talk at one time, it overloads it. It's too much energy for it, and it can't handle it.
Right.
But
You know,
I'll tell you. Go ahead.
I was curious about it, and I'm glad you mentioned that there was some sort of a video display so you could actually see the word, because in watching the video, and it said the word blood and things like this were mentioned. Now, I guess the audience should be aware that this Ovilus, the voice of the Ovilus, isn't like a person speaking to you. It's very robotic sounding.
Yeah, it's computerized.
Yeah, and if I didn't see the word on the screen and know what you guys were talking about because I was watching the video, I wouldn't have known that said blood.
But see, that's why I have the digital screen. But you know what?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's important that I think that's part of the package with this thing.
Right.
Is that you can actually see it.
Right, and it's hard to hear sometimes, and that helps me too because I'm trying to decipher everything. And we've tried to get it on infrared, and I know Zach and them guys can do it, and Aaron's done it, but I just never can get that thing tilted the right way so that it picks up. We tried to do it, and we have a hard time with the millimeter too, trying to get the mega Gauss readings, EMF readings too on a screen. So they need to really think about making a screen that is cohesive with an IR light.
Right.
Right. That would help out a lot for us to prove to people, because that's the main thing. You want to prove it to people. You know it.
Well,
that's right.
That's what it's all about. Hey, real quick before you go, if someone's listening right now, you're going to be part of the True Ghost Stories family and so on and so forth. Website, social media for you guys, where can we send them?
We can go to Facebook and just put Spirit Realm Investigative Project. Like us, we'd love to. You can Google it; it'll come up. You can Google my name; it'll come up. LeeAnna Jonas. You can go to YouTube, SRIP3, and search that. I'm in a lot of books. I'm in 3 or 4 books. We're in a lot of articles and radio shows. So I don't have my own website. I just don't have time to handle that, so we just kind of basically go through Facebook. But yeah, if you go to Facebook, it's public. You can Google it, anyone can get on, and there's also a link directly to our YouTube page so you can look at some of our evidence.
Cool.
That's awesome. LeeAnna, thank you so much for coming on, and your team is actually one that I'm going to keep an eye on because it's very interesting, and I just look forward to see, because you guys are really bringing forth evidence, and that's what Adam and I are always looking for, is the
Right.
real. We're you guys really look like you're just trying to like turn some stones over and see what you're finding. So that's very cool. And I mean, would it be cool if you come back on the show again with us in the future, and maybe when you have some hard evidence, we could share it, discuss it, share it with the guests?
Sure, and it would even be nice to talk once our episode airs too.
Excellent.
Then I can talk about it.
Excellent. Well, I'll tell you what. You can hang out on the line here with us, because we're going to bring on another friend of ours, Nicole Oliva, to tell us a ghost story, and we'd love to have your input. And just, I mean, this is
That would actually
what
be
you're.
great.
Yeah, this is what you're in it for. So we might as well just kind of get the round table here, and we could just hear Nicole's story. Is that okay with you, LeeAnna?
No
Will you hang-
problem.
Yeah. All right. So, without further ado, Adam, would you like to introduce our next guest?
Oh, absolutely. We've got a young filmmaker, an actress, a singer, a cosplayer, someone that I'm proud to call a friend and coworker. She helps us out a ton at Twitch Productions. I've acted on stage with her, and now she's doing her own thing and really tearing it up. And of course, I am talking about the lovely Nicole Oliva. Nicole, are you there?
Hi, Adam. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Cool.
Hi, Nicole. It's Tom.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thanks for coming on tonight.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Very
So,
cool.
Nicole, we talked quite a long time ago when we relaunched True Ghost Stories, and you were listening in, and you were really a great supporter of us, and you had mentioned to me that you'd had quite a few paranormal experiences, and you had quite a few cool stories to share. So before we get into the stories, I want you to maybe tell us about when you first started to believe in, the world beyond the afterlife.
Mm.
Huh. Okay. Well, I mean, I was raised Roman Catholic, so I can't even remember when I first started really thinking about it. I mean, even as early as the age of 7, I had a really strict Catholic school nun who didn't feel the need to leave out any of the nitty-gritty details in the Bible or anything like that. But also around the age of 7 was when I had my first death in the family, and I started having a little bit of a better understanding of how that worked, I guess.
Okay. So that was your first confrontation with the reality of death and losing someone.
Right.
And now, when was your first, I guess, experience? At what age did you first experience something that you thought was unexplainable and maybe convinced you that there was something beyond? Now, of course, when you're raised in a religious household, you're always told that there's a beyond, but it's basically heaven or hell. They don't teach you that when you die that you're going to hang around for 30 or 40 years haunting the place where you used to live.
Just 30 or 40?
No. I mean, they do tell us that, like, you have guardian angels watching you, so that's always been the fine line of, like, is it an angel coming down to protect me, or is it something else beyond there? I think, and this is going to sound really weird, but my first really strange encounter with the beyond was also at the age of 7. I had, this is gonna sound really strange. I had 2 goldfish as a kid. And one night I had a really terrible dream that one of the fish died. And when I woke up the next morning, the fish was indeed dead.
Wait a minute.
But
Did you feed the fish the night before?
yes, I did.
Was it a guilty dream or?
No, I don't know what it was. But like aside from that, after that point, the other biggest experience I had was when I was 14, when my close grandmother passed away.
Okay.
And that was kind of the bigger story that I was planning on talking about tonight. And I think I remember telling Adam this story at one point years ago, where when my grandmother passed away, my grandmother was initially born and raised in Hungary. And one of her favorite pieces of literature as well as films was Dr. Zhivago, because when she had first moved here, there wasn't really anything Eastern European to get your hands on except for that. It was one of the more Americanized pieces of work.
Right.
In the book, and also in one or two scenes in the film, whenever it's brought up about Dr. Zhivago's mother or something related to memory or of a death in the family, you always see like a light bit of snow. When my grandmother passed and we were at her funeral at the church and we were leaving, and this was in February, so it wasn't too out of the blue, it went from like a sunny day to suddenly like lightly snowing.
Mm-hmm.
Later on at the gravesite, same thing happened. We were all praying and it started lightly snowing as like a sign. And from that point on, from February well into June, whenever we would visit her grave, it would lightly snow as a sign that she was watching us.
In June.
Always.
Always. Well, just for that past year. So even well into June, it was still snowing when we'd go there.
Wow.
Wow. So very symbolic for you kind of experience, and something that you definitely relate to the relationship that you guys had and what you knew about her.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, Nicole, let me ask you this. You obviously believe that we are surrounded by spirits.
Yes.
Not necessarily angels, just the formerly living, I suppose, right?
Kind of a mix of both, I guess.
Okay. So, what do you think is the cosmic reason that they are still among us? And LeeAnna, I know you're still there with us. I'd like you to jump in on this too, because I always ask our ghost hunter guests what they believe the purpose is, because we all have a lot of fun talking about evidence and experiences and feeling the breeze and seeing the
And
shadow.
goldfish. We talk about goldfish.
Dead goldfish. But I like to get down to like the real purpose and why it is, because there must be some kind of a master plan or a reason for it all, right? So, Nicole, go ahead and tell us how you feel about it, and then LeeAnna, if you could jump in and give us your 2 cents as well, I'd like to hear it.
Well, I think it, like I said, it goes kind of two ways for me. I think it could be a combination of where some of the, or actually most of the encounters I have felt were angels that were watching over me. They were protecting me. They were kind of showing signs that they were indeed watching. Or in the other half of it, it could be spirits that are kind of still lingering around Earth, trying to figure something out, find their way into their own place beyond, and maybe either needed help or just needed a sign or something like that.
Okay. LeeAnna?
Okay, I've got a lot to say on this. This is an example. So old man Jones is sitting on his rocking chair on his porch, and he's all happy. He has a heart attack. He dies, but he doesn't know he's dead. He wasn't really a religious man. The light comes down, and he has no clue what to do. So he hangs out because this is the place that he loved. Then that light goes away, and he's still there. You have people that are afraid to go to the light, like murderers. We ran into a murderer. He shot his wife, put her in bed, covered her, and then shot his son, and then laid him in bed, and they sat there for 47 days before they were found. This is back in the mining days. And we tried to talk to him with our angel reader, and she just said, he's a coward. He does not want to go to God because he knows what he's done wrong. So he'd rather punish himself and stay, because we offered to help him. He would rather punish himself and stay there because he does not want to meet his maker because of what he did. There's other ones that just decide, I'm not going anywhere. This is my house. I'm staying here. And that's why they haunt people, because they don't want anyone in their house.
You know, now that's so interesting, because, you know, a lot of the discussion of the afterlife is that the souls are lost. They have unfinished business. They're trapped in a limbo, in a purgatory. And for that perspective, that they actually choose not to move on.
Yep.
They choose this middle existence between life and eternity, That's a very interesting perspective that I haven't heard before.
Well, and a lot of this came not only from what I've experienced. I ask the spirits, and some of them get pretty upset, and I'll say, no disrespect, but do you know that you're dead?
Wow.
And I've had ones on the Ovilus will say jerk, or because they're mad that I asked that, or they'll light something up, or they'll say alive. The word alive will come up, and then I'll say, do you know you're dead? And they'll just say alive, and they think they're still alive. So then I ask if they want help, and some of them say no, and I'm like, are you happy? And they say yes. So
That's interesting because if they think they're alive, and obviously at some point they were, and they were living a life, then that perhaps opens up the door to what is uh, that life like for them, especially those that are happy, who are still here. Are
well,
they
from what,
going through daily activities as if they
yeah,
were? I mean,
yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Right?
my buddy tells us, or my psychic buddy, Dave Barnett, tells me that there's different dimensions. That's why sometimes when you get EVPs, they're whispers because they have to cut through so many dimensions. By that time, their voice is just, you can hardly hear it. Um, and I don't know, and I guess I could use the example. Have you ever seen the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
where they didn't know they were dead, and they saw everything as it was when they were alive. So that dimension is still there for them. So they never really knew any different. So to them, they're hearing noises, and they may be spooked out thinking that we're the ghost,
Yeah.
So I think it can go either way. But from what I've learned, and I always ask them, and I try to tell them that I'm not trying to be disrespectful because some of them do get angry. Um, do you know you're dead? And some know and some don't. But I do believe it's a choice. I do believe that it's up to you to go to the light. I think some people die, especially people that die quickly. Yes, there may be unfinished business there. They may know who killed them. They may not want to leave because they don't want to leave their children or their family or what have you. So they miss that opportunity and now they're stuck. And that's why we try with my angel reader to try to cross them over if we
So,
can.
so in a sense, it's a limited time offer.
That's what I believe in,
Absolutely.
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you think the people who die more abruptly are more likely to think that they're not dead?
Yeah. 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 In fact, I was just watching The Sixth Sense last night, and I haven't seen it in ages. And Bruce Willis, in the end, he didn't even know he was dead, and then he starts putting pieces together, and then it all comes back to him that he had shot himself. So, I just think that they get disorientated. Some of them, I believe, can see their bodies lying there when they leave their bodies, and some may not. I mean, I don't know all the answers. I haven't, I'm not dead. I'll know someday. But all I can do is put together some of the evidence and responses that we have gotten and try to come to some conclusion on that aspect.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
boy. Um, Nicole, let me ask you, have you ever had an encounter, visual or
Yes.
something? You have?
Uh-huh.
Tell me.
I thought it was because I was thinking I thought it was really interesting about people who still think they're alive. I had an encounter my freshman year of college. I was working on the theater department's costume crew. And the particular show I was working on, Carousel, the finale, all the guys are in tuxedos. So as I'm packing up the costumes to put them back in the shop, I see this guy standing looking out the window in the hallway, and he's wearing a tuxedo. And as I'm about to approach him to ask him why are you wearing your costume? I need that because I didn't know everybody then. And that he walked through the glass and vanished. And then I found out later that week that there was a particular producer who used to work in the theater department, and he died in that theater of a heart attack. Like, it instantly killed him.
Plain as day, you saw this guy.
Yeah.
How
Where was
far
this?
away?
Where
What?
was this? Where was
This
this?
was at Five Towns College.
Five Towns. Okay.
And
Right.
and Nicole, how far away were you from the apparition?
maybe about like 6 feet away.
Wow.
Okay, so daytime, nighttime, well lit hallway.
More or less.
Enough that you thought it was somebody wearing a costume who shouldn't have been.
Yes.
Wow.
Theaters are notorious for spirits.
Yeah.
Those are the people that don't want to leave because they still want to put on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the older students were saying that, like, I don't remember if they had said they had seen him, but they were definitely saying, yeah, he hangs around. He wants to see what's going on and make sure everything's going okay.
Mm-hmm. And there again, you have somebody who loved their life and loved the theater, and they chose not to go. They wanted to stick around and see what was going on. They felt obligated to take care of the place.
Right.
Well, what they don't know is that's the choice you make. I have our angel reader that says that they can go whenever they want to, and once they rectify their situation. I don't think that's true. I don't believe that. I think that you have a window of opportunity, and you get it and you take it or you don't. But like I said, that remains to be seen.
Right.
How do you reopen that window of opportunity and help them pass through?
We call upon Archangel Michael. He's the protector, and Archangel Raphael, and we ask them for their assistance to help with the spirits and to bring the light to them and guide them into the light. And he will actually help them, like take their hand and take them to the light. And my angel reader can see this in her mind. She can see it happening. In fact, we have a video of a little boy that first time it's ever happened. It was very, very emotional. On our YouTube page, a little boy, and he wanted to go to his mother, and she saw the whole thing happen, and she opened up the world to me because I didn't even know that was capable. You could do that. So I've been practicing with it, and I just call upon Archangel Michael, and it's been working as far as I know, because we do get some validation afterwards,
Right.
if they're gone. So I mean, all I can do is hope that I'm helping. I mean, that I have good intentions, and that's one thing when you open yourself to the universe is you're putting out those good intentions.
Right.
I believe in all that too. So
Nicole, when you saw this at Five Towns, and literally it just basically walked through the wall type of thing right in front of you, what was your initial reaction to that? I mean, that's got to be pretty startling. Did you suddenly get scared? I mean, what happened there?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much kind of like shrieked, but I was like the only one in the hallway, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna pretend this didn't happen, and then just keep pushing the cart. Because the other thing was, for whatever reason, Five Towns is a pretty old school, so it's not the most handicap accessible. So when I had to bring the rack of costumes, I had to go like in this weird circle around the entire campus just to get it on the proper ramps to get it back into the costume shop.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of just like went on my way and was trying to like think about it or not think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you tell anybody about it immediately after it happened?
It was about a week later when I was talking to some of the upperclassmen who worked within the department, and that's when I found out. They were like, oh yeah, that's happened before. That's the guy who used to do the producing here that passed away of the heart attack in the New Space Theater.
So they've
And
heard the
apparently
story.
there's a bunch of ghosts at Five Towns. Like, I always heard stories about a supposed lady in white who used to hang out around the library. And also there's a tiny Civil War cemetery behind the school, too.
Yeah, so that would definitely lend to the at least the heebie-jeebies part of it being around there, I would say.
well, Nicole, you're lucky you got to see a full body. I just saw a head one night.
Oh.
I was upstairs in the bar area, and I saw a head, and the guy was working behind the bar, and he had the big, the big the, what do they call those? The big sideburns that they used to have in the 1920s.
Right.
And he looked like the bartender, and he was just standing. He didn't even look at me. I just saw his head, and it was in color, which was cool.
Yeah.
But it was just a head. It didn't really freak me out. I thought it was cool, but then that's what I'm looking for anyway. So,
Well, LeeAnna, let's get one more plug out for you now because we got about 10 minutes left, and I want to get a plug for Nicole as well. So let's start with you, and I know that I've already shared your your Facebook page on our True Ghost Stories page, but you're also doing True Ghost Stories TV. When can we expect to see some of your video and audio footage on True Ghost Stories TV? Has that been worked out yet, or when do you?
No, I think in September they're going to. Well, I know they're going to start doing teasers for some of the trailers that we made, and
Okay.
then in September they're supposed to. Think is when the regular season starts. So I'm not real I don't know all the information on that yet. Sherry
Okay.
would probably be the one to ask on that, but soon I hope.
Okay, but your stuff is put together. I mean, you've got your evidence put together and ready to show us, right?
I'm just putting the finishing touches on the episode. I just need to know if they're going to cut out for commercials and how much time I actually have for film.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So a little technical, but you'll probably be on part of the September launch, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what it
Oh
looks
yeah,
like.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I just need
excellent.
a couple. Yeah.
And Nicole, my dear, I know that I would like to mention that Nicole is going to be, Adam, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Nicole is going to be joining us and performing and using her beautiful operatic voice at the next Grindhouse Editions Summer Scares. Yeah,
Yeah.
on July 25th. That's right, right? Is it July 25th?
Yes, July 25th.
Yeah. Yeah. But Nicole's going to be joining that for us and singing for us. But what else do you have going on, Nicole, that we would like to share with our viewers now that you're on the air with us?
I will also be performing at Haunt Fair in August. So that'll be August 1st and 2nd. And also at Haunt Fair, I will be premiering a new fashion show called Corpse Couture.
Corpse Couture, nice.
Yeah,
Thank
and it sounds nice. Yeah.
Nicole,
It's
you're really really accelerating in the music side of things. How many performances recently? Were you also at Eternal Con?
Yes, I performed. Oh my God, how many have I? Like this past month alone, I performed at Eternal Con. I performed at Iron Garden. I'm also working with a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta company, so I'm doing a bunch of different things.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's
Very
awesome.
nice.
That's
Thanks.
awesome. Well, ladies, we
Nicole, Ryan, Tom, Nicole is one of the hardest working individuals that has ever been a part of the things that I've done.
I know it,
Aw,
man.
It's
I
unbelievable.
see her. I see
It's
her
unbelievable.
everywhere. I monitor her performances and everything. Trust me, I see what she's up to. I see what she's up to, and she deserves it. And she's a very talented young lady, that's for sure.
Well, let me leave you with this then, actually, in terms of what I was talking about with my grandmother before.
Mhm.
My grandmother always felt I had a really good voice, and I didn't because I didn't really have any confidence in myself as a kid. And before she died, she actually turned to my mother in the hospital and said, Nicole is going to be somebody someday. And a few months later, I auditioned for my first musical and got a leading role in junior high school.
Nice.
Very nice. Very nice.
Nicole, do you have any social media outlets or anywhere you'd like to let people know where they can
yeah.
find more information about you?
Yeah.
I do. You could go to facebook.com/Nicole Oliva Soprano. So it's my first name, my last name, and my voice type. You could also look up Nicole Oliva Soprano on YouTube.
Awesome.
Excellent. Excellent. Ladies, thank you very much for coming on with us tonight. LeeAnna, of course, as part of True Ghost Stories family, we are going to be looking out for everything that you guys deliver to us and your team.
Totally.
And it sounds excellent, and I love your passion for finding the truth and basically getting evidence and not just delivering a lot of empty video sounds. And did you hear that? So that's very cool. And Nicole, thank you very much for coming on and sharing your stories with us. And I know you have a bunch more, so this may not be the last time you come on and speak to us about things that have happened to you. It's great to hear from friends because it's like I said, it's a little bit more it's a little bit easier to believe when we know it's coming from people that are not trying to sell us on their ghost story. So it's just kind of cool.
Totally.
It's just kind of cool. But thank you, ladies, very much.